Welcome to Seven Trumpets Prepper, and in this video today
we're going to be talking about basic knife selection and how it may apply to your preps. What to get started with, we'll start with the heavy purpose knives. As you can see here, this one is bent. This is your cheap version. You can get them at Walmart, probably $5–6. This will work if this is what you have, but I would recommend you get something that's a little heavier duty. I have one here. As you can see, it's a lot heavier built, a lot more durable. It even has handguard. Things like that is a lot more ideal for heavy brush cutting and whatnot, because you're not going to bend your blade so easily, and you don't have to worry about the handle crackling. Where this is thin plastic, this is actually molded to it. I also have what is known as a woodman's pal. These are specially designed for brush cutting. You've got your heavy cutting edge there, you have a heavy handguard, and you have a brush hook, and that's going to help you out with that, especially in dense wooded areas. If you are per se prepping and you're in a lot of dense wood, you're going to need something along these lines. If you are a first time prepper, one thing to keep in mind is how to get the most use out of as few tools as possible. So with your tactical line, you've got bayonets, so you can attach these. This one for like your AR-15, this is an AK bayonet. These can double as utility in prepping, because you can also use both of these as wire cutters. They hook into the sheath and you use that to cut wire with, both of which will do it. This one has it as well. So if you just want a heavy use knife, you've got the traditional like K-bars, you've got those. You've got Benchmade makes some nice ones, and the thing to look for when you're looking for a heavy use knife is a full tang. It runs the full length of the handle. If you have a knife that's per se something like this is not heavy purpose knife. You're going to break this thing off about 10 seconds after you start to use it. General purpose, look at your heavy made folding knives, things like this, because it doesn't matter if they get damaged or not. They're not expensive to replace. Like these, if you have small hands, great. If you have big hands, be more careful. But again, if you break it, it's not going to matter as much because you didn't have a lot invested in it. That's what they're for. Double-edged knives are a great asset. They're very versatile if you are to study hand-to-hand fighting. If you do a lot with rope, double-edged are good, but they're typically carried as a boot knife. That's the best way to have those, just because folders, of course, on the pocket. Sheath knives, they hang tactical on your gear, and there's only one edge to worry about, whereas if you hang this on your gear, you're pulling out, you've always got an edge towards you, basically. You want to avoid that. You have throwing knives. These are just two examples of those. You've got a fairly heavy blade, so it's more front heavy, and it just depends on your throwing style. You've got one that's the same all the way down. See, the width is pretty much the same all the way. That one's just heavy altogether. And again, it depends on your throwing style. For your game, if you're going to be hunting, you need a good gaming knife. And like with this one, you have your cutting edge, you also have your gut hook, and it has a bone saw, which has the safety tips that are cut flat, but the cutting edge is angled backwards. That way you can still use your bone saw, but you're not going to worry about lacerating your fingers on them. Whereas with a typical serrade like this, you will cut your fingers open in a heartbeat if you're trying to cut something the wrong way. Things you want to avoid is knives that are not very durable. This is nice to carry as your common carrying knife, but because it's made so thin and is not a full tang, it's just pivot. They're going to be broke easily. They're going to come apart. Screws will get loose. Not something you want to use as a prepping tool. Also, things like this. This one's nice. They're comfortable. It's a little flashy, as you can see on the sheath. It's not something you want as a prepping tool, but it would work if you needed it to. And again, same thing, general purpose, decently built. If you're going into tactical type situations, you don't want all this shininess. It's just something to avoid. That's kind of just a general overview of things to give you an idea. Depending on your prep specifics is going to dictate what type of knives and tools you want to use. A knife is basically one of the best asset tools you can have. So you have different grades, different qualities. The heavier and the larger, the better it is for your heavy duty work. The smaller and more petite, you got to be more careful with it. So just remember that knife selection is an important part of prepping, and all that potential applications should be considered before making your selections.
And just remember, these items right here may save your life one day. So until we see you again on Seven Trumpets Prepper, have a most blessed day in Yahushua's name.